Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE. Today I will be doing some kind of random improvisation 3D sculpting, hopefully making some kind of character. If you want to have some kind of inspiration, you can take a look at Stone Museum Japan face, and you can, have a look and then, okay, can you make these kind of shapes and make a simple eyes and mouth and things like that. Um, or even like a mask, old traditional mask. Yeah, so let's get started. So if you want to do sculpting, you can jump to here and then continue with whatever 3D object you have in the scene. However, you can also, of course, go to new sculpting, and this is kind of like preset layout that's given to you if you're new to Blender and you just want to do a quick sculpting. And this is a sphere that's already subdivided quite high. You can actually subdivide one more time to get even higher resolutions. And by default, I think something that's actually missing is the axis. I like to have the axis showing up, the X and Y especially. So this is the floor, of course, the X axis, Y axis, the Z we don't move too much, but we need to know the front and the side and the top view. That's very important. Sometimes you still get lost. I use my tilde on my keyboard. The tilde can give me the front. So now we can actually start sculpting like this. Okay, so that's my tips on that. And by default, we have a lot of tools for sculpting. Really, you only need a couple, like draw, maybe smooth, maybe flatten. You don't need too many. And grab is also very, very interesting. The rest of them you can find out later. And the radius and the strength is good to start with. So at the very beginning, you really just want to reshape this sphere into something that's kind of more like your character. Front, from the side. Actually, sometimes I lost. So go to the left side and just reshape it. Well, anyway, we just can just start drawing, change the radius, and we know already that the draw you can pull, or you can also Blender crashes. But oops, let's just reopen very quickly. I think actually macOS been Big Sur, and occasionally it does that weird crashing. File, new, sculpting. Okay, we're in this mode. Again, let's do this X and Y. File, save as, sculpt demo. Usually I like to have the name of the sculpt tools, and we have also the sculpt tool here. More details. Grab. Okay, let's grab and make shapes. Actually, even before you are grabbing, you can already just use draw and push and pull. Just do it. Control, yeah, holding control, and of course this make the eyeball sockets, right? And also you can make mouth. This is probably the easiest for every kind of character. Just the eyeballs and the mouth, and you can have the nose, of course. And very quickly you can have some kind of character, and you can use grab. There is a grab and move in other software. I've been using this Nomad app on my iPad. Nomad Sculpt app is actually really powerful. It's also available online. It has grab and it also have move. I think grab in Blender is actually, there is actually snake in Blender. Snake hook, yeah, this one is actually pretty cool as well. You're gonna see later. And sculpting can take a very long time. You can keep adding details, but I like just just make simple character. And by default, you also notice that we are working with a symmetry on, and we are pushing and pulling the vertices, and we start to see the face kind of being separated. So some bigger face, some smaller with smaller details, and you can always remesh. You can use dynamic topology, but you can also just remesh it. And let's actually do this resample and just do the remesh. Yeah, and with the remesh, you already changed the topology, but it's okay. Don't worry too much about it at this point. So you can keep going. With the eyeball, you can make the eyes here, but you can use Suzanne eye socket if you like. But in this case, maybe just make some kind of like a donut shape around the eye. Sometimes some sculptor likes to make the eyes like this. Sometimes they prefer maybe like make it this like a protruding, and you can maybe flatten it. If you want to use the snake hook, this is really handy. Turn on dynamic topology, and you can kind of just pull a leg, something, but make sure that the resolution detail is correct. I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm making, but it's like a character of some sort. See, it's a good idea to always go to this left side, and then I like to do this in object mode. And if I'm happy with this, Control A, assign all transform, and then go back to sculpt mode. I don't worry about topology at this point, really. We can do another remeshing. Turn off dynamic topology and just do a remesh. And continue. You can continue with this. And something with the character, it's good to think about the teeth and also maybe the tongue. This really adds a lot of character, especially the teeth of the character and the eyeball, of course. Eventually, you're gonna give an eyeball to the character. If you're like a beginner in sculpting, you probably didn't realize that you need to later do like your UV layout and then the baking for the texture, and then before you do the texture painting. However, let's save this first. You can actually do a quick rough painting, like using just vertex paint. If you are using app like Nomad Sculpt on the iPad, you don't worry about UV and things like that, because they are actually using the vertex paint. And with vertex paint, you have only like simple tools: draw, blur, average, smear. Actually really cool. And you can start painting, right? By default, it doesn't have symmetry. You want to turn it on. Now I have symmetry, and you can just start painting. You can do like a really roughly, and it really doesn't matter too much. If you are really like beginner sculptor, you're gonna have a lot of fun, but you have to be patient. I think I'm not the best sculptor either, but I'm still new. I used to just model using NURBS to make like like procedural kind of or CAD way of modeling. Blender is very powerful with polygon modeling. Polygon modeling is not the easiest, but let's actually give it like a blue tongue. Okay, there's a creature called blue tongue, the skink in Australia. It's actually, you can find it at the bush. But anyhow, this is really simple, right? Vertex paint is really simple, and you actually find this in a lot of other applications. And however, this is not proper way in 3D. You probably want to bake it if you want to bring this into game engine. Some game engine actually accept. Some game engine accept the vertex color. However, it's not very efficient because it's really dense. This character is dense. Even this is actually, it looks like it's not dense, but it's actually pretty high in polygon. You can go higher, of course. So now you're back in this 3D view and you cannot see the color. You know why? Because the vertex color, we need to actually shade it. You need to specify vertex color and plug in the color. Okay, so this is now you can see the vertex color and you can continue painting. The brush. You can keep going, you know, with this. It's endless. Maybe adding a little bit more details. Some people, a lot of tutorials out there tells you to do, like, it gives you a lot of good tips for professional 3D sculpting, for 3D animations, but I think sculpting should be a little bit more like drawing, you know, like everyone can actually draw, and it's like if you want to be creative, you learn things, and you know, you don't have to be like super professional. If you want to go there, feel free to do that, but it takes times. But if you're not like really professional, sculpting is actually open up a lot of potentials. It can unlock a lot of skills. I mean, but don't try to do like difficult sculpting at first. Just a simple one. Or just now I'm turning ambient occlusion stuff just to see this a bit easier. So now we have this character, right? It has vertex color, and if you are using GLB, you can just export it as GLB. But again, this is not optimized at all. So I have a tips, and I have the workflow to properly do it. You can, for example, for this character, you can try using decimate, and just decimate this, you know, like 10%, but you're gonna get this pattern. Sometimes you might actually like this in some of real sculpture, like wooden sculpture from Okinawa. Not from Okinawa, from Hokkaido, actually have this kind of pattern, triangle. It's not triangulated, it's more like quad. You can decimate like this, but you're gonna have weird pattern. A better way is to use remesh modifier and pick your voxel size. Oh, our tongue is now, it's a bit broken, and I don't like that. Yeah, remesh sometimes do that. This kind of limitations. A better way, actually, I like to use quadriflow. Turn on quadriflow. Try this quadriflow and then see. I'm gonna reduce this to just 10,000 polygon phase and then turn off paint symmetry. Let it calculate the quadriflow, and it's gonna give you a quads, mesh with quads that's lower in resolutions, and try to match it with this guy. Sometimes you want to use wrapper. So we have a flow. It's not perfect around the eyes, etc. You actually want to do like a topology, like a proper topo, but in this case, I don't. In the technique that I want to show you, I don't do that remeshing or like a retopo, just a basic one, you know. Now I'm gonna shade smooth this character. So these and these are kind of similar. This guy have the vertex color, however, after quadriflow here, we lost the vertex color information. So we need to transfer the color from this guy into this guy. Okay. And so that's what I'll show you. This is what many video tutorial didn't show you at the very beginning. So this is the original, and this is the target, or this is like the source. Let's call it the source target. Okay, we're gonna reset this position. Option G, reset the position and rotations. Oh, they are kind of overlapping now, right? Don't worry. I'm gonna show you how to bake it. This is the easiest, the simplest. So this guy have a different material. So this is the source material. With the target, we have a new material. And with the target selected, and we can see its material in the shader editor here. We want to create an image texture, create a new one. Yeah, 1024 by 1024 is fine. Should have called it diffuse in this case. Yeah, so it's showing here as well. So what, if you're a beginner 3D artist, maybe you didn't know that in 3D there's like a principles, BSDF materials. One material for 3D objects can have metallic, roughness, specular, normal, map, occlusion, base color, etc. Okay, there's a lot. But we're gonna just try to bake the diffuse color. Okay, so select the target, shift select the source, make sure that order, and then you also, by default, you are in the Eevee render engine. You want to switch to cycles to do the baking. I have this bake PBR from Oscar Art add-on. Don't worry about it for now. It can actually do the baking for you, all this base color, metallic roughness, all the PBR channel for you automatically. But we're just gonna use the one that's built in Blender, bake. You might see also this animated bake for animated texture. This one is from another add-on. Just take a look at this bake. And we want to use diffuse. There is this direct, indirect. If you have a lightning and you want to bake the lightning, you turn it on, but we just want to bake the color. And we want to turn on selected to active. Our selected is the target. Actually, our active is the target. The one that's selected is the source. And that's what we're gonna do. We want to bake that and give it a little bit of ray distance. Okay, now we just hit bake. It says no active UV layer found in object target. Aha, good. Good that it's letting me know that we don't have UV yet for this character. Of course, we need to do UV. So the easiest is F3 and do a smart UV. The UV, you can actually optimize it yourself. The UV looks like this. It's like, if you want to select, this is the UV. It's very bad UV layout, but it's a quick and easy one. It works. You want to learn how to do proper UV, but in this case, really, if you want to be creative and stuff, I mean, you don't need to worry too much. Just you do an automatic UV. Now we have UV, we have everything. We just hit to bake. Make sure this diffuse image is also being selected and active. Okay, this is important. Now it's doing the baking from source to the target. Okay, now we have this, and we just gonna save this as, it's a good habit, just save it into a folder. Just like call it sculpt creature. You know, like this is just a creative sculpting. So we have the diffuse, but we don't stop here. And now we can actually plug this diffuse into our character and select our character now and have a look. So we have our texture. Well, you might notice, okay, it's not perfect. What's going on there? That's probably because of the ray distance. I'm giving it too much. You can do another baking, but make sure you unplug this. Select the target, select the source, select the diffuse, and bake again. Hopefully we get a better result. But even if you don't get a good result, you can always paint it again manually. Okay, so you don't stop here. There's a lot of potentials. Okay, you still have that issue. Okay, then no problem. Now we can hide the source. We have our target now with a proper with a smart UV. It's not perfect, but it's okay. Our color is being transferred. So when I say you don't stop here, that's because now we have the proper UV and proper texture that's already baked. Now you can actually go to texture paint, and this is the texture slot. It's connect. It's basically basically showing you what's happening here inside the shader editor, but as a list. So we can continue painting this guy here. Or sometimes it gives it's too dark. Now you might see that we actually can add more details. I know why. The UV is not perfect. That's why when I'm painting one area, is also painting another area. Maybe they're overlapping. Oh well. But here, because we are already actually we are painting the, so this must be overlapping. We are painting using texture. Now we can go into details. Like for example, if the eyes, you want to give it a red eyes, maybe not red eyes. Green is better, or blue. Red eyes makes the character angry. So you can have a little bit more detail. I forgot to turn on symmetry. You don't always need to have symmetry, but it's a quick way. And we always have the black part of the eyes. You can see, because this is pixel, you can have more details. You can have smaller brush. Okay. This really can add a lot to your character, just like that kind of detail. And you don't stop here. I'm telling you, I keep telling you that you can, play with metallic and roughness. This is also two values that kind of work together. You can make it really reflective if you want. Maybe you don't want that. But normally you work with the roughness more than the metallic. Metallic is like black or white, which area is actually have some kind of metallic. Roughness is where you actually do the job, like with a painting. So let's paint the roughness. So we create a new slot, texture mapping, and I think we haven't saved the diffuse. We need to do that, and then we'll now take a look at the material roughness. By default it's gray, and now you start painting or white color or black color. So white being you don't have any reflection. If you flip it to black, this one is maximum. So gray, white, or black. This is what I just painted. You can see here on the UV layout image. So let's start with gray. So yeah, this is basically the whole process. And you don't stop here actually. You can continue, keep adding details, like you can project texture, and you can use alpha texture to add details to your characters. And I haven't done that, and I haven't baked the normal, so let's actually bake the normal. One more important thing is to bake the normal. Create new normal map and select the target and select the source. Bake the normal, and there's also bake occlusion, and occlusion is something else. So this is the normal. Save this as normal, and we just plug this, but we don't just plug this normal there. We need to have normal mapping. This is the color, and the strength you can adjust it later. So I'm gonna save this file, save as. I'm gonna delete the source now. We don't need that anymore. The thing with the normal, if you do too much, it's not good. I have a feeling that with the normal, we don't do the baking directly, or we should have. I should have baked the normal differently, or maybe it's something to do with the UV. But anyway, it doesn't look correct in Blender sometimes, but if you export it, it looks sort of correct. It's weird, but I'm gonna export the GLTF as GLB, right? Because I like to always think about augmented reality, and I want to share this character with my friend or my family, or maybe animate it at some point. But this is the GLB export. You can use the GLB on something like Adobe Aero. So this is your character. Looks slightly weird. Do I have auto smooth? Oh well. Maybe it's a normal. Maybe I did something wrong with the normal. So this is the character with just the base color and roughness. Metallic is set to 100%. So it's very reflective character. You can have occlusion here. Maybe I should bake the occlusion as well. Let's just do that just to make this complete. Occlusion is will give details to your character. Where's our baker? Okay, this is the bake. This is normal. Ambient occlusions. Okay, just gonna use the default. Bake. No valid selected object. Oh, turn off selected to active. This is because we are not transferring the bake, we're just baking the occlusion from itself. So turn off selected to active. Now we are baking the occlusions, and we're gonna save it, and we're gonna drop it into reality converter. So this is the whole sculpting process, including all the baking, and most of the thing we do is automated, like smart UV. But just so to let you know, there's something like vertex color. There's a little bit of that little complexity because it's 3D. So I just added occlusion. We can't really see it here. Maybe it's not updating. File, export, USDZ. USDZ is going to be the format, you know. It's going to be used in 3D package. So we have our character. I know the texture is rough because of the UV, etc. You can be more precise with all this. You don't stop here. You can continue painting. So there's something interesting with this. You know, when you are in this mode, selective occlusion, you can see the occlusion there. Maybe that's kind of wrong. Diffuse. Go back to paint mode. And continue painting. And this is not like, it's not like a, okay, you're done with it. With 3D, you can always customize, change the color. You can start from scratch, you know, fill it. Let's see, let's fill with the color, start from scratch. You can repaint it. give it to your friend, brother, sister. Hey, I have this thing. I just created using Blender, and I want you to paint on it. See how creative you can get. Oh yeah, I think there's an overlapping with the UV maybe. With this, of course, we are done with this character, right? We've done when we repaint it with a different color. Image, save as, diffuse 2. So this is when customizations actually pay its role. You not end up with only one texture. Maybe your friend make new texture and you just need to reapply. That's why it's become so powerful. It's become like your asset, 3D asset that you can sell, you can share, and maybe you can sell it, And yeah, but it's really powerful. That's why Blender is really powerful tools for you to create characters for your animated movie, or for your game, or for visualization, or just for fun, just for meditation or things like that. So hopefully you find this enjoyable and useful, and a lot of information there. But thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.